Pajamas, Kick-Ass, and Dr. Death are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is April 16th, 2021. It is the 106th day of the year. There are 259 days left in this fine year. It is the 16th Friday in the 16th week, and the 28th day of spring. We got 66 days until summer. Today is Wear Pajamas to Work Day. Timed appropriately for the day after tax day. Wear Pajamas to Work Day is kind of the normal thing right now. Most people are working from home still, and that's not hard to pull off. My wife's been wearing pajamas to work for like 7 months now, I think. But if this does go back to the office and you want to do this next year, it's a good idea to check with your boss to make sure it's okay. All right, let's see what else April 16th has given us. 1910, the oldest existing ice hockey arena that's still in use opens for the first time, the Boston Arena. I've always wanted to see a game there, never have. That's one of the ones that's on my bucket list. 1947, an explosion on board a freighter in the port causes the city of Texas City, Texas, killing almost 600 people. The Texas City disaster is often considered the worst industrial accident in American history. Witnesses compare the scene to the atomic bomb dropped on Nagasaki. The explosion was so powerful, the ship's 2-ton anchor was thrown almost 2 miles away when the Grand Camp exploded. That was the name of it, Grand Camp. On April 16, 1947, around 8 a.m., smoke was spotted in the cargo hold of the Grand Camp while she was still on the dock. Shortly before 9 a.m., the captain ordered the men to steam the hold. This is a firefighting method where steam is piped into a hold to extinguish the fires to preserve the cargo and get rid of the fire. Basically cut down on the oxygen in there and kind of wet things down. This did nothing to put out the fire, and the steam may have contributed to the fire by converting the ammonium nitrate into nitrous oxide, while augmenting the already intense heat in the ship's hold. The locals showed up to see the fire because this was back before Netflix and they had nothing else to do. Eventually, the steam pressure inside the ship blew the hatches open and a really cool yellow-orange smoke billowed out. This color is typical of nitrogen dioxide fumes. It was such an interesting color that even more people showed up. Can you see where this is heading? The cargo hold and the deck began to bulge as the pressure of the steam increased inside. Around 9:12 a.m., the ammonium nitrate reached an explosive threshold from the combination of heat and pressure, and it blew up big. More than 5,000 people were injured, with almost 1,800 admitted into the 21 area hospitals. More than 500 homes were destroyed and hundreds damaged, leaving 2,000 people homeless. The seaport was destroyed and many of the businesses were flattened or burned. Over 1,100 vehicles were damaged and 362 freight cars were obliterated. The property damage was estimated to be about $100 million. That's the equivalent of like $1.2 billion in today's money. Of the 600 dead, 405 were identified and 63 have never been identified. Of those 63, the remains were placed in a memorial cemetery in the north part of Texas City near Moses Lake. An additional 113 people were classified as missing because they couldn't figure out who they were. This figure includes firefighters who were on board the Grand Camp when she exploded. There's some speculation that there were hundreds of more killed but unaccounted because they were like from other countries and on other boats and things like that. And, nobody knew they were there. Nobody knew who they were if they were there. So they think there might have been a lot more that were never counted. The victims' bodies quickly filled the local morgue. Several bodies were laid out at the local high school gymnasium for identification by family or friends. This was an ugly incident. Do you imagine that? It just destroyed this whole city. By the way, that anchor is now in a park with a little plaque explaining the whole thing. It's pretty weird. 1972, the Apollo program. The launch of Apollo 16 from Cape Canaveral goes down on April 16th, 1972. 1990, Dr. Death Jack Kevorkian participates in his first assisted suicide. This guy was all over the press all through the 90s. I mean, I understand his point, and I understand there's laws against it. Some states now have laws where you could actually take your own life if you got a terminal illness or something like that. Oregon's one of them. They give you the pills or whatever. I don't know if it's pills or shots or whatever, but they give you what you might need to take your own life. If you have, ALS, you're dying of cancer, things like that. I know several people have moved up to Oregon because of that. I don't know them personally, but I've read about them. Dr. Jack died on June 3rd, 2011. He actually did some time in prison, and he was paroled on June 1st, 2007. Died 4 years later at the age of 83. I don't think he was morbid and, This evil man, I think he was just trying to help people that were in pain. 2001, India and Bangladesh begin a 5-day border conflict, but are unable to resolve the dispute about their border. 2007, the Virginia Tech shooting. Now, I never say these people's names when they did this. I think they don't deserve it. I think they should all be treated like the guy that shot Jesse James in the back, Robert Ford. The rest of his life, he was called the coward Robert Ford. And I think these guys should get the same treatment. But anyway, this jackaloon who had already been diagnosed with having all kinds of mental disorders was able to get a bunch of guns, and he gunned down 32 people and injured 17 before committing suicide. Yeah. 2014, a South Korean ferry capsizes and sinks near Jindo Island, killing 304 passengers and crew, and leading to widespread criticism of South Korean government, media, and shipping authorities. Yeah, they didn't have a lot of rules of how many people they could put on their ferries, and this kind of went really bad for them. Movies released on April 16th, 2010. Kick-Ass. This is based on a comic book by the same name. The movie finds a high school loser decides to become a superhero. The film was followed by a sequel in 2012 called Kick-Ass 2. I never saw Kick-Ass 2. I saw Kick-Ass 1, it was great, but I kept hearing that Kick-Ass 2 was horrible, and they went a little too far with the girl in it and some bad situation. I don't know the whole story. I shouldn't even talk about it. But anyway, the film was produced by Brad Pitt, which is kind of cool, and it starred Chloe Grace Moretz, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Nicolas Cage. It was a pretty good movie. I liked it. Still got to see the number 2 one and see what everyone was complaining about. Born on April 16th, 1889, Charlie Chaplin. Who doesn't love Charlie Chaplin? If you've never actually sat down and watched a Charlie Chaplin movie, I'd suggest it. He was a genius, and he was excellent at what he did. Very entertaining. He died on Christmas Day, 1977 in Switzerland. Died on April 16th, 2018. We lost Harry Anderson. He was great. I've seen him live. Well, I saw him live about 4 or 5 times at the Comedy Magic Club in Southern California, Hermosa Beach. He was an American actor and magician. He is best known for playing the judge Harry Stone on the 1984 to 1992 television series Night Court. He died at the age of 65 of a stroke and influenza and heart disease. Now, he had this great thing where he always talked really fast while he was doing these little magic tricks. And one time he's all, "In my pocket I have," and he starts fishing around in his pocket. He goes, "When did I buy plums? That must be a roll of certs." And it was great. He was so funny. So funny and just great at what he did. Sad to see him go. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go forth, have a very productive day, and be nice to each other. Happy Friday, everyone.